When we talk about predatory birds, what comes into mind are birds of prey, commonly known as raptors. However, predation among birds occurs outside of this narrow group, and there are many other actively hunting avian carnivores in nature. A great example of this is the heron, a bird that at first glance does not seem to be specially armed by nature. It does not have large talons or a hooked beak, and yet its effectiveness in obtaining prey equals and sometimes even exceeds the largest birds of prey. It is estimated that the golden eagle eats about 9 ounces, 250 grams of meat a day, while the much smaller gray heron will eat 14 ounces. How does the heron do it? First of all, it occupies a specific niche, namely the aquatic environment, and its main food is fish. The heron also has a completely different, but also very effective hunting technique compared to birds of prey. This inconspicuous bird can catch even very large fish, but will eat pretty much anything that comes near its beak. Its menu includes frogs, toads, snakes, as well as chicks of water birds, including ones as large as geese. The most interesting thing, however, is that the heron cannot dismember its victims, so it must swallow them whole. For this purpose, it has a cavernous throat that accommodates even such seemingly unusual prey as this bird hunts rats, gophers, squirrels, moles, and even young rabbits and hares. Across the wetlands of the New World, the most common heron is the great blue heron, whose diet even includes quite large young alligators. In today's episode, we will look at these unusual but very interesting predators. Welcome! In the Old World, the largest and most numerous is the gray heron, although there is a rising number of slightly slender white heron and also a rarer purple heron. Herons are one of the easiest birds to recognize, even from a distance. During flight, they roll their necks into a characteristic S shape, thanks to which they can easily be distinguished from storks and cranes, which have their necks straightened, even stretched to the maximum during flight. In addition, herons often make a characteristic sound during flight. This characteristic frank may resemble the name Frank, and apparently in some regions of the US, the heron is even referred to as Old Frankie. Gray herons are large birds. Their height reaches 40 inches, 100 centimeters, and the wingspan up to 6 feet, 175 centimeters. They are quite skittish, but they have solid reasons for it. In the past, these birds were greatly persecuted and still do not have an easy life today. Due to the effectiveness in catching fish, herons are not very popular among anglers, fishermen, and above all, the owners of fish ponds. The heron sometimes catches a fish so large that it is unable to swallow it. The bird, in this case, struggles with its prey for a long time and turns it in its beak in all possible ways, trying to somehow fit it into its esophagus. The end result is difficult to predict, and whether the victim will pass through the heron's esophagus is often decided by tiny margins. It is easy to understand the indignation of a fish pond owner who observes such a struggle, and even more so that a bird sometimes has to give up consumption and abandon a mutilated or a dead fish. In closed fish breeding centers, it is even allowed to shoot herons, so it's not surprising that these birds avoid people. I often see herons while kayaking. They usually lurk somewhere in the coastal thickets for their prey, but I rarely manage to swim close to them. Herons most often use an ambush hunting strategy. That's why we usually see them standing motionless in shallow water on a bank or a branch, waiting for a good opportunity to attack on a passing fish. Sometimes they sneak up on their prey slowly and very carefully so as not to startle it, just like cats do. At the moment of attack, the heron violently straightens its tense neck and gets its victim with its long beak. And it is this beak that is the bird's only hunting tool. Smaller fish are caught by the heron with a slightly open beak, and larger ones usually get pierced right through. However, heron's food is not only fish. This bird does not disdain from almost any kind of animal protein that it is able to swallow. There are many frogs in coastal zones of rivers and lakes, which are also a major food source for herons. Reptiles, such as grass snakes, also hunt their prey in shallow water, and they also have a good chance of getting eaten by herons. The oblong shape of the reptile should not cause major problems with swallowing, although snakes do not give up without a fight, and sometimes they wrap around the beak or even the neck of a heron. They desperately try to avoid getting into the heron's esophagus. The heron also occasionally eats chicks of waterfowls. Freshly hatched ducks or geese easily fall victim to herons, although these young precocials grow quickly, and again, it is very easy to overestimate one's ability to swallow them. It often happens that a voracious heron catches a bird that is too large, and it takes a lot of effort for the heron to put it in the stomach. There are many videos online showing herons struggling with prey much too big. A heron trying to swallow a large prey looks a bit like a snake, especially one of the constrictors, which are famous for their ability to squeeze incredibly large prey through their mouths. This similarity may be even more evident in the case of another group of heron prey, which are the mammals. Rats, gophers, mice, young muskrats, and even rabbits. The body of mammals is more plastic than, for example, the rigid bodies of fish, and therefore it happens that herons, like constrictors, are able to swallow surprisingly large prey. However, this does not change the fact that they are not an easy meal. It is difficult not only to catch such a large prey and swallow it, but also to digest it. Some birds, such as owls, birds of prey, and even gulls, have interesting strategies to improve this process. All hard-to-digest parts of the prey, like hair, bones, or chitinous shells of insects, are regurgitated through the mouth in the form of a lumpy ball called a pellet. Such pellets are eagerly collected by researchers because they provide a lot of valuable information about the diet of a given bird. The heron also excretes pellets, and in addition to some fish, they often contain hairs of mammals. Thus, the heron is an effective predator with a wide range of abilities, and its long beak can be turned into a deadly weapon. Let this recording, which I came across during my research, prove how deadly this weapon is. At first glance, this is an idyllic scene, but there is drama in the background. One heron pecked another adult heron with its bill and made many accurate strikes. What caused this behavior? Probably competition for food or habitat. Winter is a difficult time for herons, especially for young individuals that have recently left the breeding colony and have just started to cope without the help of their parents. Most herons fly to warm countries for the winter, but some stay behind. Food becomes difficult to access, and each feeding ground is worth defending it fiercely. Otherwise, you may not see another spring. Many herons die in their first year of life. To understand such animal behavior, we must realize that nature is a constant fight for survival. Food is scarce, and often there is not enough for everyone. We, humans, in our rat race, fight only for a better car or a bigger house. And we often do various dirty things to each other. Animals, on the other hand, are constantly fighting for their lives. The next recording also clearly illustrates this. Despite the poor quality, this short film shows how an adult heron is caught mid-flight by an alligator, and not so long ago, the roles were reversed. The heron was the predator and the alligator was the prey. In nature, most animals never really know whether they will get a meal today or become one themselves. This is the eternal circle of life. The heron's long beak is not only a hunting tool, but also a tool for self-defense. Ornithologists know this very well. When threatened, the heron will attack the attacker's eyes. Which is why when ringing young herons on the nest, as well as in various bird sanctuaries, it is necessary to always hold its beak while caring for a heron, otherwise it is easy to lose an eye. This is a type of defense strategy used especially by young herons, which are often attacked by various types of predators in breeding colonies. The largest heron breeding colonies have up to several hundred nests. They are often very noisy. Herons around the nest make different noises than during flight. They screech, whine, and juveniles even emit shrill squeaks. Such a colony is a very peculiar place. Not only they emit strange, almost prehistoric sounds, but its entire forest floor is covered with corrosive bird droppings, among which are scattered remains of skeletons of young herons. Juveniles often fall out of their nests, especially during stronger gusts of wind or predator attacks. This ends tragically for them because the clumsy chicks have no chance to return to their high-placed nest. It also happens that heron colonies get deliberately destroyed by people, especially near ponds or fish farms. As you can see, herons don't have an easy life. Despite the extraordinary speed and high precision of their attacks, it is often very difficult for such a specialized aquatic predator to find food. No wonder that herons try to take advantage of every opportunity, even when they are not sure whether they will be able to swallow the victim. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention. See you next time.